Pardon me while I have a strange interlude.
There is nothing else. Life is an obscure hobo bumming a ride on the omnibus of art.
Along the misty corridors of time, and in those corridors I see figures, strange figures.
Welcome back, my friends, to the AP Strange Show. I'm your host, AP Strange. This is my show, and today's show is brought to you by S-Mart. We're getting some really good corporate sponsors these days, and S-Mart is the perfect place to go, especially if you're in the market for any manner of boomstick. Boomsticks galore at S-Mart, so go check them out. They have all kinds of other goods, housewares, I'm told. So go check out S-Mart for all your shopping needs. And if you want something a little spookier to shop for, tonight's guest is a wonderful person to go see. He's a local business owner, local to me in central Massachusetts. J.R. Hikel is the shop owner of J.R.'s Spooky Shack and a lifelong horror fan, enthusiast, and the guy that knows lots of horror stuff and merchandise. And I was in his shop recently, met him, and we got to talking, and I'm like, this guy would be fun as hell to talk movies with. And I said, JR, if you could pick a movie, and he had a couple options, but he's like, what about Army of Darkness? And I said, ooh. My eyes lit up, and I was like, Army of Darkness, you got it, man. Let's do that. So welcome to the show, JR.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I'm pumped to be here. I questioned about your sponsor, though, of S-Mart. I went in there the other day, and they had this whole setup of really cheap, gaudy plastic jewelry that they said would be really good to give to your girlfriend in a cabin in the woods. Any ideas on that?
I would probably just trust it. I mean, like, I'm not big on trusting, like, multinational corporate entities, but S-Mart is supplying me with imaginary dollars this week, so I kind of am obligated not to be too disparaging about them. I have to say that the boomstick I got from them is working out rather well.
Well, there we go. There we go. You can always trust a good cashier with a chin, too, so you're in good hands.
Yeah, a chin and some scars on his face and only one hand. So, yeah, I'm glad you picked this one because for whatever reason, for third time's the charm, when I came up with the concept, I'm sure I've thought of Army of Darkness before as an option, but I thank you for suggesting it because I was like, oh yes, like it's time to revisit that one in these dark times. Like it's a great movie to watch.
It is. It's like a fun summary movie, despite like its subject matter. And it's not one you think about a whole lot when you think of a third sequel because it feels so alienated and separated from the franchise, despite the fact that all of like Evil Dead and everything that's come after Army of Darkness, it's all baked right into Army of Darkness, but you just don't. It doesn't feel like a third one. It feels like its own movie.
Yeah, it really does. It's a huge. I mean, we've covered some movies that were kind of a huge departure as the second sequel, like Halloween 3. But this one does it in a way that's veering away from horror almost altogether.
Right.
Where it goes straight into comedy. But this last time around watching it, I'm like, this has everything though. It's like a satire of swashbuckling adventure. Like Ash himself becomes this like action hero come swashbuckling adventure slash leading man slash buffoon, like slapstick actor, you know.
Well, it's funny you say that because each of those are their own separate entity, but each of those also exist within one of the actors who played the Three Stooges. I don't just mean Larry, Moe, and Curly. I also mean Shemp, Curly Joe, and Joe Besser. And Bruce Campbell does all 6 of those dudes throughout the movie. He nails their perfect, like, it's the best Three Stooges movie I've ever seen that wasn't straight up Three Stooges. Like, he's pretty much quoting Moe for half of his dialogue throughout the movie. It's wild.
Yeah, actually, you're speaking my language now, and I can't believe I never put that together because I'm a huge Stooges fan. But you're absolutely right because he's like, why I oughta, and he's doing
Right.
that.
Dude, the fight with him and the 3 little mini hymns is just straight up Stoogie, including the "My Fair Lady" bit. That is like verbatim from the episodes.
Right, yeah.
And even like it's a little bit of like Curly talk in the beginning. It's like, yeah, see, yeah. He's going around with the gun. He's just one goofy voice away. Like the more we watched it last night, all I could see was like Stooges references.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm thinking of let's see, like after he pulls the fork out of his butt in the windmill scene after he gets hit with that, and he's kind of like almost crying. He's like, "Oh, you!" Like that's totally Joe Besser. I can see that now.
He does the Stooges I don't even like. I don't like Joe Besser. I don't like Curly Joe, but he's doing them. And even like the background bits of like, "Sword boy, come here," and the guy just comes over and kneels to get the sword ready for him. That is absolutely something you'd see in the background of one of the episodes.
Yeah, that cracked me up this time around because like I was like, I'm cutting loose. I'm watching this one, and I'm just gonna let the laughs out watching it, because I've seen it so many times. None of it surprises me anymore.
Right.
But like, sword boy, and then he goes to
Right.
pull the sword. He just like kicks the guy. Like the guy falls over.
Now,
Like-
was Sword Boy also the Arrow Boy from later in the film? I was trying to watch it. I didn't catch it.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't show him long enough. But
They do mention Arrow Boy. I'm like, please be the same dude, but I missed it.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I don't think Bruce Campbell gets enough credit for the physical comedy that he does. And maybe it's just so over the top that, I mean, maybe he does. Maybe that's why he has such a cult following and that people love him. But it's the ability to do that. And I was always more impressed by Evil Dead 2, where he's getting beat up by his own hand. Like that's a really weird thing to have to pull off in like a low budget, like kind of indie flick.
Oh yeah.
But he does it really well. And like the physics of it doesn't work. Like how does he get dragged by his own hand? Or like pulled somewhere by his own hand? Like where's the leverage,
You got Kandarian demons involved. The whole idea of logic and physics are right out the window.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, that graveyard scene with the eye pokes and the classic sound effect, of course, that's directly Stooges.
Yeah, the whole thing.
And he does the Larry Fine putting his hand between his eyes so that he can block it and has one come from either direction. And the coup de grace in that scene, for me, that cracked me up this time around, is as he's pulling himself off the ground, he has a skeleton fist in his mouth, and he's trying to pull himself up. One more hand comes out just to punch him right in the groin.
Immediate vomit gag 2 seconds later. It was like the timing of that movie was nuts. And like the practical effects they did with what was quite clearly a shoestring budget is wild. Like I know that K&B Effects is one of the biggest names in effects, especially from that era, but I think that this was their high watermark. This was Greg Nicotero's like biggest, finest thing. The only thing I'd put close to it would be From Dusk Till Dawn for their practical effects, but dollar for dollar, if you ask me for a good example of K&B, it's Army of Darkness all day long.
Yeah, and I mean that was something where this is a movie I've watched since like my teen years a million times and never really like looked at the credits too hard, Other than Bruce Campbell, it's like I never really looked into it too much. And you mentioned Greg Nicotero, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that because pre-Walking Dead, I didn't really know who he was, but
dude, Nicotero's credits pre-Walking Dead are nuts. He was like Romero's right-hand man for the longest time after Savini. Like the Land of the Dead it was a good split between Savini's like super visceral gore effects and K&B's almost more fun but still gross effects that they had at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to only just put together the legacy of Nicotero with that stuff because I covered Day of the Dead on this very show with Brian White of the Bring Me the Axe podcast, and he kind of mentioned we talked about him a little bit because he's in that movie, like
Oh, cool.
for a minute. Nicotero's in it and gets eaten by
Yeah.
zombies. So yeah. But yeah, I was never really all that aware of him. I mean, I guess um, uh, for a lot of horror and stuff, I didn't really pay attention to the cast as much. And in this one, the most recent watch, the surprise to me was, wait a minute, that wise man looks familiar. And I had to look it up. And I feel stupid looking it up. I'm like, that's Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld.
Yeah. The movie's full of such random little tidbits. Like, did you pick up on Bill Moseley being in it?
I never did until you mentioned it. See, this is what I'm talking about. I've always just loved this movie and thought it was perfect, and I guess had no reason to like question things.
Yeah, because it is just fun. I don't usually like the phrase "turn your brain off fun," but that's kind of what this is. It's goofy for the sake of being goofy. If you don't know anything about it and you watch Evil Dead, then Evil Dead 2, and then this, the chances that you're going to briefly hate it are pretty high because it's such a stark departure from like. And I get it. Evil Dead 2 is a borderline comedy as well, but this is just like full tilt boogie opposite from the bleak, dark world of Evil Dead to this bright, sunshiny medieval mess. Which, while I'm saying the word, I'm thinking about it. The studio not letting it be called Medieval Dead is the dumbest thing on planet Earth.
Oh man,
right?
Yeah, but Army of Darkness is pretty classic.
It is. Yeah. It is, but Medieval Dead is right there, man.
Yeah,
that is the lowest, easiest hanging fruit I've ever seen.
Well, what are you gonna do? I mean, I did an episode on the Leprechaun series at one point. We called it the Leprechaunathon. And then while I was recording it, Sci-Fi had a Leprechaun marathon, and they called it a Leprechaun marathon, or like a Leprechaun binge or something. I'm like, Leprechaunathon, it's right there,
right there, guys. Dude, that series is a hard watch through.
It was.
That's a hard one.
I only made it to space. That was as far as I could go.
And you're talking to a dude who frequently watches all 15 Puppet Master movies, but the Leprechaun ones, that's a stretch too far for me.
Yeah, Puppet Master is so much weirder though. Yeah, I think it gets like weird points. I loved in your store the fact that you had some of the puppets like right up front.
Of course, dude. Got to represent right away. But see, I can bring things back from a tangent. Going from the stop motion of the Puppet Master movies to the insane stop motion of Army of Darkness, unreal. That movie had no real reason to have such good stop motion that it did for the skeletons, and 90% of them were in like background shots, like clearly homaging Ray Harryhausen with like the Jason and the Argonauts, but unreal for how good they were.
Yeah, I mean, Jason and the Argonauts was a big movie for me as a kid.
Yeah.
Because it was an example of one of those movies that my dad saw when he was younger, and he's like, "Oh, you'll love this. Watch this." And I knew that he had an affinity for it. But then when those skeletons show up in Jason and the Argonauts, to this day, it's still one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And Army of Darkness is doing it so closely to that you can't help but draw the comparison and feel the same way about it. Like, it doesn't feel derivative. It really does feel like a tip of the hat, you know?
Correct. It's an homage, not a ripoff.
Right. Yeah. And it makes you feel the same way that Jason and the Argonauts does, except you're laughing a little more too, because there's funny stuff going on, you know?
And like all that Harryhausen stop motion, that was ultimately my initial gateway into horror way back when I was little JR forever ago. My mom had rented me a copy of Clash of the Titans and said, "Hey, dude, just so you know, there's some scary scenes in this." Whoa, okay, cool, I got you, I hear you. And so I put it on and I watched it, and like that was really good, but I wouldn't call any of that scary. But if that's what a scary movie is, then nothing is scary. I'm fine. Then I put on my parents' copy of The Exorcist on DVD and learned I was very wrong.
Yeah.
there's a whole world of a difference.
Well, that's really funny because my backstory is the opposite, where my mother saw The Exorcist as a teenager, and it scared her so badly that she wouldn't watch anything horror. Like a horror movie came on, she was afraid of the movie. She was afraid of watching the movie, you know? So to me, growing up, I always thought like, well, you know, if my mom is scared, I should be scared. You know, my mom's the one that protects me from things, you know? So it took me, I was kind of like a latecomer to horror in some ways, where I was afraid to watch them because my mom was, you know? Yeah, I mean, well, all right. So that was one thing I did want to ask you, is where your fascination with horror began, and I guess
Oh,
it's at least in part the stop motion animation. But I think I had read in an interview with you that part of it came from just like the forbiddenness of the Stephen King books that your mom was already reading. So,
exactly. My mom had the collection of all the Stephen King hardcover books, and they always sat in the shelf, and the covers always got my attention, especially the ones that link together, like Desperation and I'm looking like a fake fan right now, dude. What's the one that links with Desperation? It'll come to me like an hour later, and
was
I'll
that
text
one of the Bachman ones?
the Regulators. The Regulators. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Desperation, the Regulators. Thank you. Those two covers link together, even though Regulators says Bachman and Desperation says King. But by the time that one came out, the cat was out of the bag on who Bachman was. So like there wasn't any like real surprise there. But anywho's the covers for those got my attention as a kid so much, and I was told, no, you can't read them. Like those are adult books; they're a little too much for you. So sure, shit, I read them anyway, but I didn't understand them. I was too young to know
Right.
what most of it meant. I was just like, whoa, killer clown in this one, cool. Which it was not the book to read as a kid. I had no idea what was going on. That scene toward the end, which if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
weird. And
Yeah.
if anyone listening to this hasn't read it, do yourself a favor and read it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll think, yeah, it's a little weird, and exactly why it's been in none of the movies.
Yeah, or you could I'm sure there's whole Reddit threads about it. So
Yeah, but reading it going in semi-blind is more fun. Plus, the book is really good.
yeah.
But just going from there, and then eventually getting a little bit older and actually reading them and understanding the nature of what I was reading. And King is still, by and large, my favorite author. I've ventured out and found obviously a lot more over time, but there's just something about the insane, consistent output he had from the 70s, well, pretty much the early 2000s, that really stands the test of time. So getting into that avenue of horror, and then kind of just finding more and more to watch. Like growing up in like the late 90s, early 2000s, TV was littered with it. It was everywhere. So I would find like the Fox syndicated episodes of Tales from the Crypt, creep watching some random episodes of X-Files or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like horror was so baked into like that era of pop culture that I almost didn't. That your two options were sports and horror. And I tried soccer as a kid, and during one warm up for a game, went to kick the ball, missed, and kicked a rock that was somehow on the field and broke my foot. Thought that was a clear enough sign that sports weren't the thing for me. So horror is what it turned into.
Nice. I had a similar trajectory with sports, playing soccer, where I got pneumonia once for playing a night game and not running around because I was the goalie and my team was too good. So
The
like,
clearest sign from whatever powers there be that maybe sports ain't it for us.
yeah, that, and I was never very coordinated at all. It's
Oh,
pretty
God.
obvious that I'm not athletic. So,
No.
but all right. So, as a corollary to that question, for this
Yeah.
franchise, how did you did you watch it on TV? Because that's kind of how I found Army of Darkness. Was I was telling my wife when we put it on, I'm like, when you get to that windmill scene, as he like rips his shirt open and you see the eye in his shoulder. I mean, that was my introduction to this movie. I was flipping through the channels and like TNT, I think, was showing it, and I was like, "What is happening?" And so that blew my mind when I was younger. I was just curious. So I think we take for granted how damn weird that part of the movie and the
Yeah,
whole
it
movie
is.
kind of is.
It
But
is.
how did you come into the Evil Dead franchise? Did you start with Evil Dead, or did the other way
Yeah.
around?
So I started with the Evil Dead ones. Like I grew up going to like Suncoast Video and Strawberries, Newbury Comics, and the one staple that was, or I guess two staples that were all three of those were a shitty Anchor Bay copy of Evil Dead on DVD and Dead Alive / Brain Dead from Peter Jackson. I kept seeing those DVD covers everywhere at each of those stores I would go to, and eventually said, "Forget it. I'm going to find a way to watch it." And so I did watch the first one and thought, "Wow, that was kind of fuzzy. I wonder what this one would look like cleaned up." Now, obviously, I've grown on the first one. I love it a lot. It's arguably my favorite of the three now. But then I found Evil Dead 2 from that. I'm like, whoa, hey, cool. That's what they were trying to do with the first one. Like, obviously, I've understood them more over time, but I watched those two a whole lot before even getting to Army of Darkness. I don't know why. It wasn't one that ever popped up like on TV for me. It wasn't one that was immediately on my radar. It was years down the road where I sat and watched all three together in succession and kind of went, huh, all really good, but all very different.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit older than you, so I
A
think
little bit.
Evil Dead Army of Darkness was still relatively new and probably the only one that ever really got shown on cable TV of the three. So it was the kind of thing where I would have encountered Army of Darkness first,
Makes sense.
like in the '90s. But uh, yeah. I mean, to your point, like Evil Dead 2 acts as though Evil Dead 1 never happened in a way. It kind of overwrites Evil Dead 1, like they're doing like a do-over, you know?
Right. So there's kind of a cool internet theory on that. And I'm sure that Sam Raimi has spoken to it at some point in time, that Evil Dead 1, 2, and 3 are essentially, or Evil Dead 1, 2, and Army of Darkness are essentially a time loop where Ash beats the Deadite in the first one, it says, fuck that, sends him back in time, changes things a little bit, which is why Evil Dead 2 is a little bit different and why he's a little bit dumber because his brain's being turned into scrambled eggs. And then it beats him again. So he changes the end of 2 just a little bit. Because at the end of 2, he's immediately hailed as the savior when he lands in the past.
Right.
Versus the beginning of Army of Darkness, like, whoa, hey, stranger with the weaponry, I'm not into it. So that I kind of like the theory that the big bad Deadite from the end of part 2 is just rewriting things and changing things a little bit. Because then you do get into a little bit of time travel when you get to the third season, or second or third season of Ash versus Evil Dead, which also fantastic show. Like it's I think, and obviously this is all opinion based, Evil Dead might be the only franchise without a miss in it. 1, 2, and 3, the remake, Rise, and the TV show, all rock solid, and the musical rules.
I haven't seen the musical, so
Dude, you gotta see the musical. I've seen 2 different versions of it. One was put on with like an absolute shoestring budget by some kids with some puppets. Great. Second one was put on by folks who had an insane budget and had these massive screens behind them that they interacted with and played with. Also great. There's not a bad way to see it.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like this is the kind of franchise that you could do whatever you want with it, and
Right.
as long as your heart's there, as long as your heart's in the right place as a fan, kind of
Exactly.
like Army of Darkness doing Harryhausen. It's like
Yeah.
it'll come through, like.
Because you can play it pitch black like the 2013 Evil Dead did, and that was a brutal movie. That is one of the goriest things on planet Earth. Or you can play it straight up for yucks, like most of Ash versus Evil Dead. Like that show, also great, but one of the goofiest things I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, I think Evil Dead 2 is my favorite of the bunch, but sitting down to watch Army of Darkness, it occurred to me, I'm like, I take this movie for granted and don't revisit it nowadays as much as I used to because it's like I've seen it a million times. But it's really all I ever want or need in a movie. It's got all of it there. It's like,
well, because it's still more, even though it's goofy and it goes the extra mile for every single scene it has, it's arguably the most accessible of the franchise. It's the one that like anybody can like accept and like a lot. And my favorite example there is my girlfriend's son, the one who works at the shop with me during the week. He had grown up in a household also loving all this sort of stuff. And he had seen Army of Darkness a couple of times because it is goofy, it is slapsticky, it is family friendly enough if you can kind of swing it. And then, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, they re-released the first Evil Dead in theaters for like one of those Fathom events for whatever anniversary it was. I'm like, oh, dude, you got to come with us. If you like Army of Darkness, you're going to like this too. And it didn't occur to me that he had never seen the first two, that he didn't really know about like the tonal shift between 1, 2, and 3. And so I think he was expecting another equally goofy like Army of Darkness. And so when 1 hits, and it's just bleak. There's nothing actually fun about 1. There's things that are goofy in hindsight, and there's things you can make fun of in like a mystery science theater kind of way. But the movie itself takes itself very seriously. It's very dark. The whole tree assault scene is brutal.
Yeah, I kind of hate that. That's
totally fair. That's totally fair. It's super uncomfortable. It tells you that nothing is safe and nothing is sacred in this movie. But when that hit, I looked over at him and just looked at his face like, what are we watching? Where is this swashbuckling pirate king attack thing? I'm like, oh, my bad.
Yeah. There's not one quip in that movie,
No.
You don't even get so much
of but that's really about it.
Right. There's not even so much as a groovy in that one.
No, that is grim. Grim with a capital G.
That's what got me too on this most recent watch of Army of Darkness is all of those little quips. Like every little thing he says is so quotable. I feel like me and my friends would just say that shit to each other all the time, and it's stuff you hear over the years. And but all of it is so ridiculous and over the top, and played so well by Campbell, like so believably, it's I don't know. I have a newfound appreciation for it because I'm like trying to watch it as though I've never seen it before. But it's like, yeah, like who wants some like the groovy?
The one that
like
hit me last night was when he first comes back from getting the Necronomicon. And he's walking through the throngs of people, and just kind of out of the blue, he shoves one guy out of the way and says, "Get the fuck out of my face!" It's just so deadpan from the rest of his like goofy deliveries. Like what? It hit me in the face. Like it was so funny.
Yeah, I mean he's almost kind of schizo. In that movie,
but like, I think it's because he's playing all 6 of the Stooges at the same time. Like that is a Moe line and a half. Curly would be happy and bouncing around coming back, but all 6 of them are inside of him at once in that movie.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it's like Bruce Campbell's uniquely equipped for this kind of thing too. I was saying to my wife, like, it's weird because he's like a good-looking guy that you think could be like a serious leading man actor, but there's something about him, like regardless of the fact that he's playing this role, you really can't take him seriously. Like you just look at the guy and you're like, well, he's about to do something funny, like even in the earlier ones, like even in Evil Dead, because he's over the top and very expressive.
I can't think of a single real dramatic, serious role he ever had. Like even him on Burn Notice, which I get it was still goofy and lighthearted. I think that might have been the closest to his like kind of serious streak for some of the arcs, but barely.
Yeah, I mean, even if he's not given something explicitly goofy to do, just like the way he carries himself or something.
Yeah, his mannerisms are goofy.
He has like this aura of goofball. And I'm like, I don't get it. He's got like the chin. He's got like chiseled features. He had great hair. Like he should just be like a suave guy, but for some reason he's just not. Like it's all bravado, and you could play that for laughs, but it's.
I take it back. There is one role that he plays it's still a little goofy, and I can't believe I said that earlier. I retract my previous comment. Him as Sebastian Haff / Elvis and Bubba Hotep is so well done that might be the high watermark of his acting career. If anyone listens to this and is like, this kid's an idiot at the beginning, I'm not. I remembered Bubba Hotep. It came to me.
Well, I was about to get to that because that actually is a nice balancing act because he's given plenty of goofy stuff to do in Bubba Hotep, and it is about the goofiest movie you could think of. One of my all-time favorites. But it is also, for how stupid the plot of the movie is, it's profoundly moving, and it's got like the serious bits, the parts where he does seriously act. I mean, whether or not you buy him as Elvis, which I think that was a problem making the movie, is that he was being trained by an Elvis impersonator, and the guy was like, he's never going to get there. He can't do the Elvis thing. But I mean, you buy it because he inhabits the role and you're watching it, and you don't really care if he's doing Elvis right. You're like, no, this is Elvis for our purposes here. And it is like, he's talking about his pecker for a lot of the movie, but then like,
doesn't matter.
He's very serious about it. Like there's so many moments in those dialogues or monologues as Elvis where you're just like damn, like he's really carrying the emotional weight here. So I'd absolutely take that point.
So I would like to renege my entire previous comment that he did get a golden shot at a serious role, and he crushed it. I know we're talking Army of Darkness and Sam Raimi, but Don Cascarelli might be the most underrated director in the game. For like Phantasm 1 through 4, that John dies at the end. Dude deserves more credit.
I mean, just taking the leap with those properties, because they're all absurd. They're all crazy. And Bubba Hotep's probably is very close to my heart as somebody that's kind of like uh always been all about humor, but also the paranormal and also like universal monsters and
Yep.
conspiracy theories and like the Weekly World News. Growing up with the Weekly World News, this had like everything, just
Yes.
Elvis is alive, JFK, the conspiracy, like
Yeah.
the
And it is
mummy.
you distilled into one film.
Yeah, and it's perfect. Like if there's anything that could rival Army of Darkness for perfection, it's Bubba Hotep.
Yep. And it's a hard one to sell people too, because when you explain, like, oh, it's a comedy, and you're like, no, it is
Right.
pitch black.
Well, I don't. I mean, definitely has lots of funny moments.
Yeah, Cleopatra does the nasty, being an
Right, yeah.
outstanding line.
Yeah. 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 Ozzy.
Outside of the Evil Dead franchise, what's your favorite Sam Raimi film?
Oh. Hmm. I don't really know because I feel like I'm always maybe Darkman. I don't know. Like,
I was gonna say Darkman. Darkman rules as Liam Neeson at his finest. You've got crap, what's the guy's name from like Dr. Giggles in the Christmas episode Tales from the Crypt as the main bad guy.
oh man, I know who you're talking about. I could picture him, but I
Yeah,
can't.
he's like that iconic like evil face, and oh my god, that dude ruled. But yeah, Darkman's exactly where I was going, and it ties in Bruce Campbell at the end. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert: if you haven't seen Darkman, which go watch Darkman. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting with Sam Raimi because I feel like I've been disappointed by some Sam Raimi stuff. Because he did like the Spider-Man movies, right?
Yeah, and Spider-Man 1 and 2 are good. Spider-Man 2 is arguably the best like Marvel movie. It's hard to sum up the MCU, but Spider-Man 2 is arguably the best one. That and Blade.
Okay, but those aren't really MCU. That was a Sony one that he did,
Right, but
right?
now with like they tied in the whole Toby
Right.
Topher Grace movies, or not Topher Grace. What's that? No, I almost said his name.
Toby.
Maguire.
Yeah.
There's so many names in my head, dude. Yeah, the Tobey Maguire ones. They tied them into the MCU with like the newest Spider-Man movie. So it's
Well,
still
yeah.
rough.
I mean, eventually, all of us will be owned by Disney. So.
And then Raimi himself came around and did Doctor Strange 2, which was firmly okay.
Yeah, but that's the problem I have is that almost everything he does is okay these days, and I'm like, come on, man, just go full Raimi, do the Raimi thing, man. Like I've in Spider-Man with the Doctor Octopus origin story that is classic Raimi. You're
Yeah,
like, yes,
100%.
he's back, but then he just kind of goes back to like a normal movie, and you're like, oh man. And I was really looking forward to him doing Doctor Strange, and there were a few things like he's fighting a Cyclops monster and stabs him in the eye, and you're like, yep, that's my Raimi. But then
Right.
it kind of turns into a normal Marvel movie.
But I feel like what real Raimi is now is things more like Drag Me to Hell, which I feel like Drag Me to Hell you could see 100% in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, yeah. And didn't he also did one that was like the Boogeyman or something like that?
I thought he produced. I don't know if because he produced that one with like the Dybbuk box, but I can't remember what the name of that one was. I don't think he had anything to do with the Boogeyman. Every day I don't remember it.
The
And then he did the
Grudge?
Oz the Great and Powerful movie, which
Oh geez.
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like sometimes I feel like the ingenuity that has to occur to work within a small budget and the enthusiasm of young directors and getting their vision out there and working
Right.
with what they have means so much more to me than anything that they could do with a bigger budget. Like
Yep.
you mentioned Dead Alive earlier, and
Yeah.
for listeners that are in other countries, it's called Brain Dead. Um, but Peter Jackson early on was doing a lot of really, yeah, really weird stuff, really weird, cerebral, uncomfortable stuff. And then you give him a bigger budget, and like The Frighteners was good, but you end up eventually with like King Kong and The Lord of the Rings.
I was going to say, you can't skip right to King Kong, dude. You got the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is gold. I think the biggest comparison point is Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit. I cannot stand the Hobbit movies.
Yeah, I never watched them because, again, we talked about this before the show in regard to podcasts, where if you see a podcast that's like 3 hours long, you hesitate to download it. For me, I found it insulting that a book I could read in an afternoon was being turned into like 9.5 hours of movie.
With just so much unnecessary junk. It was, I don't know. And going from the Lord of the Rings movies, which are three of, like, in my opinion, three of the best movies ever made, to just it's disappointing. Yeah. And I think that speaks to the same thing you're trying to say with like directors kind of getting almost too comfortable in the excess, and that someone should take away all his money and see what he makes again. I don't think he would ever make a Bad Taste or Meet the Feebles again, but it'd be cool to see what he did with such a little budget.
Yeah, well, I think Dead Alive was really the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was billed as the goriest fright flick ever made, but as far as gallons of blood go, I don't know. I think like Evil Dead is probably on a par, you know?
Evil Dead's up there. I always get bummed when movies try and say it's got the most amount of blood now, because then you wind up with like technically It Chapter 2 from like 2018, 2019, whatever year that came out, had that whole scene where they were like floating in it. Or like the sheer amount of blood that was in Evil Dead Rise, although I did like Evil Dead Rise a lot. I don't. Your competition mark shouldn't be we've got the most amount of blood, because that's lame.
Yeah. But I mean that was, I think it was right on the DVD case or the VHS case, because I don't think I've ever gotten a DVD of Dead Alive. I had it on VHS. But yeah, I think it said like the goriest.
Both. I'm trying to look over on my shelf. Yep, I got both. I got Dead Alive next to Evil Dead on VHS on my shelf right now.
Oh, awesome!
Crushing it.
And the Evil Dead was billed as the ultimate experiencing grueling terror, I think. Yes. Right? Yeah.
Well, because that too, like that had the whole Stephen King kind of marketing behind it, saying it's the scariest movie they've ever seen, or whatever that first quote was, which is awesome. I loved how much weight his opinion carried back then. And now he just says he loves everything. He gave like that Night Swim or that Nightfall movie like glowing reviews, and that was a microwave dog turd. So I can't quite trust his opinions at this point in time, but it used to mean something back in the day. Or what was the Clive Barker quote? I've seen the future of horror, and it is Clive Barker. What a hard quote. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you know, coked up Stephen King was a straight shooter, and people believed him.
Hey, Maximum Overdrive is the best movie he ever directed.
No lies detected. That movie is batshit. I love it. Yeah.
Talk about ripe for either a sequel or a remake now, right? We're in this era of having cars that already drive by themselves. We are in prime territory for Maximum Overdrive, which, to be fair, they kind of already did with that weird Child's Play reboot. But
you got the Megan movies too, where that's kind of like a techno horror idea.
But yeah, you're right. You're correct. I'm just being a jerk.
Yeah, well, I mean, I recently did an episode about AI and where we're headed with that, but I think we're going to see a lot more technical horror, like machines killing people sort of thing, pretty soon, because that seems to be the zeitgeist. So yeah, it probably is time for a Maximum Overdrive revival.
That's a really good logical point. I would expect to see a lot more of the techno horror, because like for most of last year we saw a lot of like the autonomy stuff with like Immaculate and The First Omen, both which were incredible. And like those are the two examples I think off the top of my head, but there were a handful of other fear of losing autonomy, and here we are in this modern day and age where it's kind of exactly what's happening. So I could see that next move being that AI one. Maybe Hardware will get a resurgence. Do you ever see that one, Richard Stanley?
No.
Ooh, Hardware is rock solid. Fantastic soundtrack. It's how I found both Guar and Ministry back in the day.
Shit.
One movie, yeah.
Well, that's one I remember seeing on the shelf at the video rental store, but I don't think I ever rented it. So yeah. I feel like we're all over the horror map tonight, but I kind of had a feeling that would happen, and I'm totally cool with it. I don't want to lose focus on this movie though, just because I feel like I imagine a lot of listeners are like, Army of Darkness, oh hell yeah. So they want to hear about it.
I'll dial it back.
Yeah. I mean, to get back to the cast a little bit, you mentioned Bill Moseley. Now, we know him from Texas Chainsaw 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's Chop Top in TCM 2. He's Otis in the Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and 3 from Hell. I like him as Luigi, there you can think of his name, from Repo, the Genetic Opera. He also has a couple of albums with Buckethead. The band name is Cornbugs. They're real weird if you haven't heard them before. They're a lot of fun.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Cornbugs is sick.
Well, so he's an all-around weirdo.
Yeah. Born and bred weirdo. He got his start doing a Texas Chainsaw parody called the Texas Nail Salon Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Nail Salon, something silly, where he was in a nail salon and some guy dressed as Leatherface came in his nails, and that somehow that weird short film got Tobe Hooper's attention, and that's how he became Chop Top. There is some, I hate that I can't remember the details. There's some story where he was kind of on the outs for a little bit with films, and this movie got him back in through like one of the unions. So he was able to get back in and get his like license or something through that. I'm sure someone's going to hear this and say, no, the effects or this, whatever, close enough. And he's barely in the film. He is one of the lead Deadites, he's one of like the fleshy ones. He's not like the voice of a random skeleton, but you do hear his voice a couple of times toward the end too, but it was just enough to get in the accreditation either for SAG or AFTRA or something like that, so it helped him get back into making movies.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't Bad Ash then.
No, see,
I was thinking he was Bad Ash.
Yeah, so that's still Bruce Campbell, just under pounds and pounds of prosthetics.
Wow. Okay. All right.
But a lot of people think he played the evil Ash, but no.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I mean, that's some innovations in slapstick horror too, with Evil Ash, where you have like the rope going under the chin to hold his jaw on.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Sally Farr.
Yeah,
it's great. And even the practical. Okay, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it makes more sense that that's Bruce Campbell, but yeah, okay. Maybe that's why I never noticed Bill Moseley in there, because he's, it is a smaller role, but
it's a very small role.
No idea until you mentioned it. Yeah.
It's more his audio in the end. He's some of the voiceovers for the Deadites toward the end. And I think once you listen to those Cornbugs album and you pick up one of like normal kind of voices, you'll hear him again next time you watch Army of Darkness.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Shout out Cornbugs.
Well, speaking of music, I mean, that part at the end, you have a brief bit of music from Danny Elfman, because at that time, we're talking like this came out in '92.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you had to get Danny Elfman if you could.
Of course, it was legally required. The weird soundtracks that he pop up on are insane. He did the score for Nightbreed, but I didn't realize until a very recent watch through.
I did not realize that either. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like, also like I guess they probably couldn't afford him for the whole score, so they just got him to do like the March of the Dead part, and then it just kind of seamlessly fits back into the regular score.
Which all sound like royalty-free music. I'm sure whoever did the score put a lot of effort into it, but they put a lot of effort into sounding like royalty-free music.
Well, on this rewatch, I kind of feel like there might have been some humor with that too, where they were going for like the swelling romantic music during the love scenes, and like the driving music during the fight scenes and everything. Right. And it's like they were trying to play it up like a big budget action adventure, but using just kind of like the stock music.
Yeah. Now, with the scene in the cemetery where he's going to go pick up the Necronomicon and say the Klaatu Bretta Necronomicon, there's 3 books there. What do you think happens with the other 2? Because we don't even really know for a fact if he got the real Necronomicon. The other 2, in my opinion, seem sentient enough. They could fuck with that old mystic dude and just kind of recreate whatever time travel spell they wanted and then cause whatever havoc after he's gone. But like, what do you think the deal is with the other 2 books?
Well, Since you mentioned like the whole time travel, time loopiness thing, I'm thinking that there's three separate dimensions, like a multiverse of Evil Dead, where there's three different Ashes, and those are three different Necronomicons, each attached to each individual story.
I love that. I absolutely buy into it, especially where, like we were saying, you can go in so many different directions with those movies. Evil Dead 2013 had like almost a plain looking Necronomicon. To the best of my knowledge, didn't really have a face; it was just skin. And so that easily could have been one of those three books, just going for straight up pure evil. Which sure it could have been the vacuum one because that could have been pulling it into another dimension where another version of it exists at the other end of the wormhole. But that's exactly what I was thinking: is that there are just at least three, if not infinite number of timelines where those books just wreak havoc across cosmos, anything, everything. Get a little
Yeah,
Lovecraftian with it.
yeah. I mean, because to your point about the end of Evil Dead 2, when he's hailed as a savior, that doesn't look like medieval England. There,
No,
he looked like because it's supposed to be an ancient Sumerian text. I
right,
always had the idea he got sent back to like Babylon, like ancient Mesopotamia or something
right.
like that. But then the second movie, obviously, it's medieval England, I guess, like a fictionalized medieval England.
Which I think is because he got too close going to actual ancient Samaria to the real Kandar or whatever,
Right.
and realized, oh, hey, wait, no, can't have him this close. This idiot keeps rolling nat 20s. I can't have him this close to me. Let's reboot it and have him go over to England. We'll pretend it's the real me.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Um, so watching this movie for the first time when you were younger, did you get the reference for the Klaatu Barada Nikto?
Absolutely not. I saw Day of the Earth Stood Still way, way down the line, and I lost my mind when they said that to Gort.
Yeah. See,
Lost it.
again, that's another one that my dad watched as a kid. And so when I was younger, he was like, oh, watch this, you'll like it. So when I saw Army of Darkness, I knew the reference like right away.
I wonder which side's better. And you're like, oh my god, that's what they were talking about, versus, oh, I know what he means.
Well, I mean, that's what's great about horror and sci-fi specifically, I think. I mean, all media, really, all literature and all movies and TV shows is they love to be referential towards other things,
Right.
whether they're just stealing it or being gimmicky or paying homage or putting an Easter egg in. Those are always so fun to find. I mean, you mentioned Mystery Science Theater 3000 briefly, and it wasn't until like a year or two ago that I watched War of the Worlds, like the 1960s War of the Worlds.
Nice.
And there's a character named Dr. Clayton Forrester.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the? I'm like, I watched this movie a million times as a kid. I was obsessed with Mystery Science Theater as a kid. And I never put that together.
Yep.
So, yeah, just funny stuff. Um, yeah. But yeah, that graveyard scene, the books, that's amazing. But I think the windmill scene was always my favorite. And
Oh, for sure, dude. That is where it starts off over the top, and then it just somehow exceeds it. Like the three little ashes, the mirror alone, like it's absurd. Um, that's the one mystery blind box I've always wanted. Was they did a series of Army of Darkness ones. I have a couple of plushies up over here I'm looking at, and the mystery chase that I never got my hands on was the three little ashes holding up the fork. Like, damn it, one of the coolest scenes ever made into like a physical toy. Bums
yeah,
me out.
yeah,
It's out there somewhere. I'll find it someday.
yeah. I mean, for listeners, because I know you know this, but there was the extended version, or like Bruce Campbell versus Army of Darkness. Uh, um, well, we talked about it, but I'm still not sure exactly what that edition was called. But
I
uh,
think that one is just called Bruce Campbell versus Raimi Darkness, got like the brown paper bag cover.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that windmill scene is like at least 2 minutes longer. Like they beat the hell out of Ash a lot more before the whole Gulliver's Travels moment where he's on on the floor. Um, but I mean, I feel like also that scene gets that Sam Raimi style of cinematography that I loved so much, and the other ones with the weird camera angles and zoom ins and all that stuff. Anytime he's being chased by whatever, like the nameless horror that you're not allowed to see, that stuff is great. But I mean, everything up to, you know, zoom in on his eyes, and he's like, "Oh, what a terrible nightmare! Wait a minute." It's just I love that stuff. But on the topic of other dimensions, so what's the reason that these tiny ashes pop up is because he smashes a mirror when he sees his own reflection. The mirror, to me, that's like a thing that happens in all three movies that links them all, that I don't think people talk about all that much. But I think in every movie you have a scene where something really weird happens with the mirror. So maybe the mirror universe plays into like the Kandarian demon magic.
Why am I blanking on the mirror from the first one? 'Cause the second one is, I'm fine, I'm fine. You just cut up your girlfriend. You're not fine. But what's the
Right.
one from the first one?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there is one, right?
I believe you. It sounds right. I'm just like, wait, am I getting
I mean,
senile?
in preparation for this, I watched Army of Darkness again, but I did not watch all three.
That's all right. We'll pretend that we'll pretend we both remember it. So I'm sure it's got to be one in there. I'm just blanking on it, but yeah, there's definitely something to be said about that multiple universe mirror effect.
I think in the first one, the surface of the mirror just turns into like water, or it like ripples. Like that's the only thing that really happens.
Okay.
It's like something hits the mirror and it ripples like it's made out of water. And then, so it's a subtle thing, but yeah.
Still there. Still something to reflect upon.
Right.
But Brom, what do you think? I have examples. I have at least an example in my head. What do you think is the weirdest reference to Army of Darkness or the Evil Dead universe you've seen, and something that doesn't make any sense to be referencing it?
Oh, all right. I don't know. I never really thought of that. I mean, I feel like it happens often enough.
Yeah.
And I know that I would reference it constantly with my friends, you know. So it's hard for me to think of, but
in the 2016 DuckTales reboot, there is like an entire Evil Dead episode. There's a Necroducka Comic-Con. Daffy has the chainsaw. He's fighting an Evil Dead Deadite ducks. It's the weirdest thing.
Wow.
And I can't tell who that's made for, besides weirdos like me who still watch DuckTales.
Right. Well, you're not alone. I have a very good friend that's always sending me clips from the newer DuckTales cartoons.
It's really good. It's really good. I don't like the ending, but I like everything else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, cartoons these days, man, they do a really good job. It's a great time to be a dad with a younger one, because you can watch these cartoons, like have an excuse to watch them. You know,
right.
Like Gravity Falls, what a masterpiece! That was such a great show. Yeah,
perfect show.
Yeah, I stayed away from it for the longest time, and then my son convinced me it was good, and I ended up watching it with him. So
it's funny you say that too. I had someone come into the shop last week, and they were looking at, because I have a replica of the Necronomicon made by Trick or Treat Studios with rules. He's like, "But how much is it?" We talk back and forth, talk about the pages. He's like, "Oh, well, my grandmother made me a replica, but she didn't know what to do for the pages, and so she took pages from the journal number 3 from Gravity Falls to put in the book." Like, that's kind of amazing.
Well, I mean, there is that almost seems like a reference with the Mystery Shack in Gravity Falls, and the book being a big part of it. It almost feels like an homage to Evil Dead.
A couple people ask if that Mystery Shack is where I got the name for my store. It's not. It's my weird shed that I have on the side of my yard.
Well, I've always wanted a Mystery Shack, just like, in recent years. I'm like, this is my daydream. I'm like, I want a Mystery Shack like Grunkle Stan, and I want to be Grunkle Stan in that situation. I have a Fez now, so I'm like, I feel like
we're halfway there, baby. You got it. You're good.
I don't have a hearse like some business owners I know, but
hey, between the hearse in my driveway and the embalming table in my backyard, my neighbors know what's up.
Yeah. But geez. So in reference to your question, it's not the best answer, but I did bring it up in your store, and I think it's worth mentioning here. Is the Evil Dead episode of the Creep Show series that they did for Shudder?
Mhm.
For anybody that didn't ever get Shudder or check out the Creep Show series that they made, it's worth it. Like even if you just get Shudder for a month just to watch, like binge the Creep Show series, if you like the movies, it's a lot like that. They're fun, just big dumb fun. And that one episode. Now, you might know this. Did Sam Raimi have involvement in that beyond like giving his blessing? And I guess was it Ted Raimi that was in it?
So Ted Raimi's in it. He's playing the guy on like their version of Antiques Roadshow selling the book. But to the best
Right.
of my knowledge, no, it is not. There's no mention of Sam Raimi in like the credits. I have yet to see it like accepted as like canonical to like the Evil Dead universe. But as far as I'm concerned and can tell just by watching it, it absolutely is. Like it nails the vibe 100%. I think if it didn't and it didn't have Ted Raimi, there might have been some like kerfuffle about it with how close it
Right.
got. But as far as I'm concerned, that's an active piece of the Evil Dead lore.
Yeah, and for listeners that haven't seen it, it's essentially Bob Ross versus the Evil Dead.
And he kicks ass.
See, I like those unlikely heroes because I mean, it's almost like like a geriatric living Elvis fighting a mummy, or the preacher from Dead Alive. I mean, that was
I
one of
kick
my
ass for the Lord.
yeah, because I mean, in my younger years, that was among the weirdest things I'd ever seen in a movie is a kung fu priest fighting zombies. Um, and I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing about my life that I've seen much weirder things than that since. But
Well, like everything we're talking about bouncing around from, I feel like Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead universe is kind of a centerpiece for it. Like if
yeah,
those didn't do as well as they did, I don't know there would have been as open of a market for everything else that kind of came after it. Like Raimi has said time and time again that he would go to the drive-in and hang out there and watch movies and watch the reactions of people, and based a lot of the first Evil Dead on what got reactions from folks at the drive. Like, oh, we're gonna do something like that. We're gonna do something like that. And so it distilled a lot of that late 60s, early 70s energy into a super gross 80s movie that then springboarded 18 bajillion more super gross 80s movies. So I don't think
yeah,
anything that we enjoy now would exist in the same vein or the same flavor if it weren't for Sam Raimi and the Evil Dead universe.
right, yeah. And I mean, and just like the variety you get with the Six Stooges, you get a good spectrum of horror and over the topness between the three Evil Dead original movies.
Exactly.
And a lot of variations with stuff that came after, from the remake to reboot to musical and the TV show.
God, I love the musical.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to see it now.
You will. You will. I agree.
I'm not a big musical guy, but there's a handful that I feel like I'm obligated to see. That one and Bat Boy the musical. I feel like I'm
I want to see
obligated.
Bat Boy. I want to see the Toxic Avenger one. There's a Carrie one, but I'm not really big into period pieces.
Yeah. Oh, and we were talking in the store about how oh my god, I just missed that joke. I'm sorry. Oh my, I missed the pun. God damn it! All right, this is podcast host brain where I'm ready to pivot to a new thing. But all right, well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
The oh, well, as we were talking about in your store, the new adaptation of Phantom of the Paradise. They're working on bringing
Yeah,
that as
that's
a
gonna get a
musical.
musical stage adaptation. But that in and of itself has a lot of musical numbers in it. So like I think
It's
that'll
already kind of a
right. I think that'll play really well into like the live musical stage adaptation.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, musical horrors. It's a great little niche market that we.
Yeah. Well, wait, dude, horror nerds and theater nerds are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, there's often a lot of overlap there for sure. Yeah. Um, good stuff.
Yeah, man.
So, well, I did want to get into a little bit of your story as well
Oh, yeah,
with
sure.
since since it came up already, and we keep gliding right by it, is how did you come to have a spooky shack?
Yeah, dude.
Like,
So I mentioned a little bit earlier, I grew up loving like Suncoast Video, Strawberries, and Newbury Comics, and all I really wanted to do as a kid was work at a store like that. And by the time it was time for me to be working, Suncoast and Strawberries were just about gone. So all I ever wanted to do at that point was work at Newbury Comics, which I did for a good 8 years. I worked at this is where it gets regional for anyone who's outside of New England. Worked at the Shrewsbury, Massachusetts location until that one closed, then the Nashua one in New Hampshire, Marlboro. I had a couple of brief stints at like Leominster and Natick, like doing like small individual shifts. But I bounced around Newbury for the longest time until all of a sudden I reached an age where I'm like, I should probably get a real job and make real money. And so I've been working in the same office job for the past 8.5 years. And again, it rules. It pays my bills. It's taught me a whole lot. But I wanted something a little bit more in my lane. And so I combined my retail know-how with some of the office know-how with my business degree from Nichols in Dudley, Massachusetts, and my obsession with everything horror, and just wanted to make my own shop. But there's a couple other really great small indie shops around here. Scarce Oddities is a huge inspiration to me. I'm good friends with their owner. Talked with him throughout the whole process of making this new shop. The Magic Parlor in Salem, I've been friends with that owner for years. His name's Rob Fitz. He does practical makeup effects for a lot of movies and TV show. He just worked on the new Walking Dead show with Negan in it, the one that filmed in Worcester. So just all sorts of cool inspiration around this area, and I pulled from all of that to create my own shop. I opened up at what was the first floor of an office building for the past 1.5 years. It was itty bitty, it was a postage stamp size spot, but I did really cool things with it. I really made it my own. I had a lot of signings in there. I had like Joe Bob Briggs and his co-host Darcy. I had the Boulay brothers. I had Larry Fessenden, acoustic performance from Argyle Goolsby. So I did a lot of cool things with it. But now it's reached this terminus point where it was either grow or give it up. And I found a really great spot now in the town next to me called Hudson, where it's right on the main drag. It's been able to expand it and carry so much more stuff, and just the sheer number of people that have come in now just learning about the shop, yourself included, where it's like, hey, this is something I do want to check out now. And it lets me meet so many more people, like getting to meet you and talk with you and do this show. Penny Dreadful, who's a local horror host in New England, came in to visit the other day. I just get so many more avenues, and I've only been there for 2 weeks. And it's been just right. It's just been an absolute insane 2 weeks where things are growing so quickly, and I love it. So that's the long answer to I just like horror and retail, and I wanted to have my own.
Well, you opened at the current location on Friday the 13th.
Of course. How could I not? I had a Jason cosplayer there that was terrifying Main Street as he walked up and down around the area. I had my aforementioned hearse parked up front. It's still there upon occasion. It's a bit of a beast to park there, but I make it work when I can. We just filmed the new little promotional video that I think came out great. If you go onto any of my social media pages or onto jrspookyShack.com, you'll see that there. Shameless self-plug. But the video, it also has the Necronomicon in it, so it's still...
I know, I was about to say. I saw that today. I'm like, oh, how perfect. It has the Necronomicon right in it. So. Hopefully you don't get sued by Sam Raimi.
It's a licensed product that I'm selling. It's fine. Trick or Treat Studios. Check it out.
Yeah.
On sale at JR Spooky Shack and at S-Mart.
Yeah, exactly. Do you do shipping for any retail items, or is it all in store?
Yep. I sell online a whole bunch too. The biggest thing that I had success with there is last year I got an offer to do a store exclusive cover for the Svengoolie comic book. I'm not really a comic book store, but I'm a huge personal Svengoolie fan. So as soon as the offer came up to me, I took it. I had my good buddy Shane Murphy, whose online handle is Theater of Creeps, who does fantastic art. I had him do the cover art for me. And when that was announced, those covers were flying everywhere. I sent them out to a majority of the country. I think I hit a good 25 out of 50 states. I never got a Hawaii or an Alaska, which bums me out a little. So if you're listening to this and you live in Hawaii or Alaska, buy a comic book from me. Gosh darn it, I'll mail it to you.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty great. Yeah, I mean, the comics aren't out of place. You have all the magazines. Like you had Rue Morgue up there. You had Fangoria. Just like all the good horror mags are there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I try to carry the newest issues of those. I'm just getting in a whole bunch of new Fangoria branded merch coming in. As we're recording this, coming in tomorrow, so it'll be there very, very soon. So yeah, Fangoria rules, Remorgue rules, Horror Hound is incredible. There's an awesome local horror mag called Monster Mag, run by the couple who runs the Monster Expo conventions around here. It's definitely worth checking out.
Yep. Monster with a AH at the
Monster
end.
with an AH, baby. Keeping it real New England.
Monsters, kid.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. So, I mean, listeners can follow you online at any of those places, and definitely check out your website for sure.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Dude, I don't know what I'm doing on TikTok, but I try and it seems to do okay. So I'm there posting to my heart's content. I've got the full website. I have a newsletter that I only send one email a month. And let's be real, I often forget to send it. I didn't send one for June, for crying out loud. And I had a lot going on in June, but I didn't send one.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? You were pretty busy. Yeah.
Sure was.
Okay, so if you were going to rate the Evil Dead movies in any kind of order, where would you place Army of Darkness on the list?
Ooh. I think that rating can change daily. And I'd like to, before I say my ranking, I'd like to clarify there's not a single bad movie or TV show in the franchise, that they're all great, but none of them actually belong at the bottom of the list, so it's hard. I'd probably, and I feel like it's going to be the default list. People are like, yeah, there's no surprise there. I'd probably go 2, Army of Darkness, 1, the remake, and then Rise. And would probably put the TV show, if I were including that, in between the remake and Evil Dead 1. So, Rise is a great movie. It definitely does not belong at the bottom of the list by any stretch of imagination. And Lee Cronin, if somehow you ever hear this, I love that movie. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But if I have to rank them, I have to rank them. This guy's holding a gun to my head. There's no video, so you can't tell me I'm wrong. He's telling me I have to.
Yeah. I mean, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn is very difficult to beat because I think it's weird enough, it's lo-fi enough, but also convincing enough. It's scary. It's got the good scares in it. It's still goofy. It's got a lot of humor.
Right.
I think it's just the perfect balance. But Army of Darkness is perfect in a different way. It's like I like them about equally, but yeah, Evil Dead 2 edges over it a little just because of the sheer weirdness of it. And speaking of, you mentioned a short film when we were talking about Mosley earlier, but do you know about, or I'm sure you do, but have you seen the short film The Helping Hand that Sam Raimi did?
Like a recent one? No. I knew
No,
the short film
not
for the
recent.
first one was Into the Woods.
This was like a student film that him and Bruce Campbell did before.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's basically the what is that brand? The cooking brand that has a glove as a mascot.
Oh, Hamburger Helper?
The Hamburger Helper, yeah. It's the Hamburger Helper, right? Helping Hand. It's the Hamburger Helper glove murdering people, pretty much.
I love everything about that. I'm gonna have to check that out once we wrap up here.
You can find it on YouTube, and yeah, you have to watch it because it's pretty much that. You can see where they got the idea for Ash to lop off his hand and have his hand run amok in the
Hell yeah.
in that house. So yeah, definitely check that out. This has really been a blast.
Thanks, man.
Talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I love getting to chat about this stuff. It's a good chunk of the reason why I opened the shop is to be able to have conversations like this. So I really appreciate it.
Well, I got that sense, and like I said at the top of the show, when I walked in, and I was like, I got to chat this guy up because I had read, I had read the Worcester Magazine article when you first opened your other store, and I had always meant to get over there, but I'm a jerk, so I never did.
Hey, much like going from Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2, the sequel has a lot of improvements with the new location, all right?
Right. Well, I mean, and then as soon as I walked in, I recognized you because I had seen you at Scarce Oddities with your hearse. Shout out Scarce. People can follow them on Instagram as well because it's just a really cool oddities store that's local to us. it's not all Salem, people. People think about Massachusetts, they think about Salem and Boston, but Central Massachusetts has plenty of weird stuff too. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, when I started talking to you, I'm like, I know I could talk to this guy at least for an hour about random horror stuff, and it would be a lot of fun. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show to talk Army of Darkness / Evil Dead. This has been about as much fun as I anticipated, perhaps even more.
No, it was
Definitely,
a really good time. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I didn't expect the Stooges stuff, and I love the Stooges. So, all right, I'll talk to you next time I come to your store.
Sounds like a plan, man. Look forward to it.